How do you feel about Minister Farrakhan coming to Columbus, Ohio, sir?
I'm happy about it. It gives me a chance to come and see him in person. I came all the way from Dayton, so I'm looking forward to seeing him.
I'm very pleased that Minister Farrakhan came, and I'm sure this is going to wake up a lot of the brothers and sisters here in Columbus.
Personally, I'm very excited about it. This is my first time ever hearing him, so I think it's a pretty good idea. I'd like to hear what he has to say.
Yes, ma'am. How do you feel, sir?
Personally, I feel that his message is relevant this day and time to the black people. I've heard him on several occasions, and each time it's been more dynamic, so I'm glad to be a part of it today.
It's long overdue, and I think it's great that he's coming and, going to speak and everything, so I'm very interested in what he has to say.
Well, I'm from Dayton right now, and I think Minister Farrakhan is a very good speaker. I believe in the things that he has said as far as the race relations here, and it's beneficial to all of us for him to be here at this time so we can hear his words.
I'm glad the minister's here because Ohio needs to hear the minister.
And how do you feel, sir?
Well, I think it's very much needed. We just took a trip around Columbus, right down here in their urban area, and as we can see, they very much need someone like Minister Farrakhan.
I'm impressed. I'm just glad I was here to be able to come and see him. I also feel very fortunate. I never thought he would come to Columbus and speak, so I'm glad I was able to come.
I agree. I'm excited that he's here, and I'm glad I do have the opportunity. And I just found out about it today that he was coming, and I was excited to be able to come. I'm looking forward to it.
A lot of people should come out and hear him speak because I think he's a positive speaker, and we would learn a lot from him. And this is my first time seeing Farrakhan, and I think I'm going to enjoy it.
I think it's good. I think he needs to spread more positive messages about black people in areas such as the Midwest. We don't have a lot of major cities such as New York and Chicago and all that around here. I think it's good for the outlook on black people. They should come listen to what the man has to say to us.
Muhammad Mosque number 43 in Columbus, Minister Donnell Muhammad. Let's bring him on with a round of applause, brother. What would you want?
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is indeed his servant. On behalf of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam and local Muhammad's Mosque number 43, I want to thank you again for honoring us beyond words with your presence and your support. As a representative of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, I met him many, many years ago. My first personal contact with him was in approximately 1978 at the Hitchcock Auditorium on the Ohio State University campus, and a relationship was developed that has been ongoing ever since. We are taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and we are taught by his representative, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, that whenever a people have a need, that a child will be fashioned in the womb of some woman, and that child will look like any other child, but that child will be a child of destiny. And I say to you, brothers and sisters, that our ancestors prayed for this day, they begged for this day, they asked for deliverance. We look for someone to stand up for us, speak out for us, unquivering, unabashedly, unafraid of the enemy, no matter what they say. And I say to you, I bring to you the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, the one God, to whom all praise is due, the Lord of the worlds, the Creator of all things, the Revealer of all truth, the Sender of all prophets. We thank Allah for Moses and the Torah, for Jesus and the Gospel, for Muhammad and the Holy Quran. Peace be upon all of these worthy servants of God. But if I live to be 1,000, I don't think I could ever thank Allah enough for His intervention in our affairs in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, the great Mahdi, who came among us and found one worthy to carry a weighty word that would give freedom, justice, and equality to all of our people and to oppressed people all over the world. That one whom Master Farad Muhammad raised among us is the man who taught me what I know and gave me the example of the man I hope to become. And that is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, his messenger to us. I greet all of you, my dear and wonderful brothers and sisters, with the greeting words of peace. We say it in the Arabic language, Assalamu alaikum, which means in English, peace be unto you. To Minister Donnell Muhammad, Brother Minister, come forward. To Minister Donnell Muhammad and to all of the believers of Mosque number 43, thank you so very much for your hard work and effort. You know, this is Columbus, Ohio. It's a wonderful city, but I didn't know that the tickets were $25 and $15, and you have brought together approximately a little over 5,000 persons, and I think that is a great effort on your part. Thank you very, very much. May Allah bless you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Brother Donnell has been a very faithful worker in this city for many, many years. And I'm sure it is gratifying to him to see so many of you with whom he personally has talked and to whom he has talked over these many years. And it certainly is gratifying to me to see all of you. Now, let's get down to business. I would like to thank all of the dignitaries on the rostrum for honoring me with their presence, the reverend clergy, if there are any present, the leadership of the NAACP, if they are present, any politicians who are present. I want to have a very serious talk with all of us, which raises the question, are black leaders really ours?
are black organizations really ours? And if black leaders are not free, how can they lead us to freedom? And if black organizations are really manipulated and controlled by outside forces, how can these organizations legitimately claim to be the vanguard of liberation for our people? We want to raise these questions, and we want answers here in Columbus. Now, it is clear to those of us who passionately desire to see our people free that something is wrong with black leadership. Something is wrong with black organizations. There's something terribly wrong even with our church leaders, because if the church leaders who are supported by black congregants, black people, are not really free to speak the truth of the scriptures, but have to preach an appeasing doctrine that makes those in positions of power happy, then how can they represent God and be afraid of man? Let's talk. If we represent God, then who should we be afraid of? Most of our leaders are preachers. But David the psalmist said, "The Lord is my light, and he is my salvation. Of whom then shall I be afraid?" But if the enemy is your light, and you trust your oppressor for your salvation, then you are afraid all the time, so you speak what pleases the enemy to the hurt of your people who cry out to be delivered from oppression. So Columbus, I want to have a fireside chat. That is unemotional, though I might get passionate now and then. But I want to reason with you and reason with all who are present to look at what freedom is and what the price of freedom is. And if we want to be free, which is our natural and divine right, then we must be willing to pay the price to be free. There's an old saying among our people, freedom ain't free. The question is, who's willing to pay the price? The oppressor is powerful. There is no doubt about that. America is really now the only game in town. The Soviet Union is gone. America is the last remaining superpower. Every knee is bending, not to Christ, and every tongue is confessing, not to Christ, but confessing that America is the great Goliath, the great power that the world trembles at the thought of America being against them. That's a good position for America to be in, but it's a dangerous position for America to be in, because power sometimes can make you arrogant and blind you to little things that become your undoing. America right now, though she's at the top of the heap, is in deep trouble. She's $4 trillion in debt. Every year, she runs now a $500 billion deficit. She only raises $1 trillion in taxes. But her budget is $1,500 billion. If Mr. Clinton cannot reduce the deficit, and if things remain as they are, by the time Mr. Clinton's first 4 years is up, America will be $6 trillion in debt. Last year, it took $288 billion just to service the debt. That means paying the interest on the debt. That is almost 1/3 of America's tax dollars. At $6 trillion in debt, the debt service will eat up what the taxpayers give, which means the country will go bankrupt. The dollar is falling. And those who worship the dollar instead of the worship of God are going to be in deep, deep trouble. The streets of America are unsafe, so that yesterday the president had a great victory. A crime bill was passed. Crime is the #1 problem in great America. Billions of dollars are earmarked now for new prisons, prisons in rural America, that will give white folk jobs to look out for us, whom they intend to fill the prisons with. America has no real solution for crime, because if factories are moving out of the country into third world nations, and America is not retraining her population that is now unemployed to be in a service-oriented economy, then those that are unemployed and unemployable, ready for jobs but no job, and the army does not need them since the collapse of the Soviet Union, what are the people to do? So 3 strikes and you're in for the rest of your life, which means that America is intending to make us slaves through crime, to put you in a prison and work you for the rest of your life for nothing, to make somebody richer at the expense of black people. Now, somebody has to be free enough to point out the wicked machinations of government, of corporate America, of a wicked cabal that is masterminding the destruction of this nation. Do you mean to tell me that we can make a contraption that revolves around our earth and we're thinking about a space station. We put a telescope out in space so we could see comets and meteors and bombarding Jupiter. And you can't fix the educational system? Do you mean to tell me that the Hubble telescope got in a little difficulty? You sent somebody out in space to fix that? And you don't have the wherewithal to fix an educational system that is rendering at least 15 to 20% of the American people as functional illiterates? Something is wrong when the people can't read and then don't have a desire to read, where they have to depend on controlled television and newspapers to give us the news of what's happening in the world. You're being herded like sheep, and you don't even realize that you are not as free as you think you are. You say, in America, we're free people in America. Oh, really? Why is the government of the United States spending huge sums of money on mind control, drugs, and mind control techniques? What is it about film that there are 24 frames per second, and you are not supposed to put anything on the 24th frame, but if you drop just a little something on the 24th frame, the conscious mind won't pick it up, but the subconscious will pick it up, and you can program people to do pretty much what you want them to do. How come the health of the American people is deteriorated when all over the world, Japan now is number one in health, number one in banking, has a great economy? America is 22nd. You got the best hospitals in the world and the sickest people in the world. Disease running rampant, particularly in the black community. We in the black community live in conditions that equal some of the poorest third world countries. The life expectancy of black people is not the life expectancy of white people. And even theirs is down and ours is worse. What's happening in America? The insane asylums are filled. People blowing their minds. The stress is so great. People are abusing their children. Men having sex with their daughters. Nobody wants to talk about this incestuous madness that is destroying young girls. This is the greatest country on earth, but she's dying from an internal rot that is destroying the moral fiber of America, the family institution of America, the sanity of America. The greatest country on earth dying from within. The youth are not listening to their elders. They don't think that their elders have anything to tell them. They're not listening to the school teachers. You spend your whole day trying to discipline children, so that police now have to come in the schools. You have to search the children in the schools because the children now are coming to schools with weapons. The country has become a cesspool of violence. mayhem, and madness. And in the midst of all of this, we have black organizations that are trying to lead us. We have black leaders that are trying to lead us. We have black preachers that are trying to preach us into heaven, while the earth is becoming a veritable hell. I think we've got to examine this thing very carefully. Because if we are totally and completely dependent on government, on America for guidance, then we are totally lost. Because America is like a great ship without a rudder. The government is confused. The president is confused. His foreign policy is a mess, and his domestic policy is not better. Who is going to lead America? Who is going to lead black people? The press is busy looking under every rock for the weakness of the leaders. You have your job, members of the press. But my God, you know, I wonder, would you be able to stay on the 6 o'clock news in truth if your stuff was made known? Listen, press, if we followed you back home and checked your bedroom situation out, how would you make it tomorrow if we showed what you do at night on the 6 o'clock news? As though you don't smoke dope. As though you're not freakish in your sex life. How could you be so bold to tear others down when your stuff is not together? You know, the religion of Islam as well as Christianity tells us that you want for your brother what you want for yourself. And Jesus told you, do unto others as you would like others to do unto you. No politician is running on the Jesus Christ platform. These people are not saying, vote for me, I'm the second coming of Christ. They didn't say to you, I'm sinless, I'm pure. So you dig in everybody's life to find something. Well, hell, you could do that with everybody. Why don't you do that with the Pope? You do that with the religious leaders of the world. You say, Farrakhan, I think that's unfair. No, it's not unfair. Because the Bible teaches that the righteousness of any of us is like filthy rags in comparison to the righteousness of God. And this book Quran says that if God were to punish man for his sins, not one soul would be left alive on the earth. Not one. Not one. Not one. in his writing said, Jews and Gentiles, they are all under sin. There is none righteous, none that doeth good, no, not one. I didn't say it. Paul said it. So all of us are sinners. So why talk about Jesus Christ coming to save people from their sins, and then you castigate them because they're less than perfect? If you want a perfect man, vote for Christ. Tell him come down from where he is and sit on the throne and bust Clinton. And bust John Major. And bust the leaders of the world, because that's exactly what's about to happen. This is hypocrisy, members of the press. You love doing this. You love to see people squirm under the light of your cameras. You're tearing your country up. You say you love America, but you're tearing it down because you are contributing to the distrust that the people have of all their leaders. Leaders shouldn't be liars. Let's start right there. And every one of your presidents have been liars. Every one. There's not one that has been truthful totally with the American people. And a liar can't build confidence. Johnson lied and put 500,000 Americans in Vietnam on the basis of a lie. Poor people are dying in foreign wars, supposedly for democracy, while they were only fighting and dying to keep the rich in positions of power over the poor. Talk to me. The soldiers come back from these wars, and the government does not treat them right. When they went and fought and bled and died and came back half the men that they were when they left, and their government lies to them about Agent Orange, lies to them about chemical warfare, lies to them about biological warfare that is going on, lies to us about AIDS, lies to us when they experiment on human beings. Eskimos experimented on. People in the South Pacific experimented on. American people, black and white, experimented on. Black people living in communities where toxic waste is dumped. Where we live, we're breathing death, drinking death, and we wonder why all of a sudden cancer that was not a disease prevalent among us in the 50s is now #1 killer of black men, black women. Cancer of the prostate, cancer of the colon, cancer of the breast. And the merchants of death continue to advertise their death-dealing foods and drugs. One of the first things that Master Farad Muhammad did when he came to North America and raised up the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was to tell us to get rid of all medicines out of our medicine cabinet. And all the time that we obeyed his teaching, we never had any medicine. We put doctors out of business. We always looked well. And we died so seldom that we didn't even think that Muslims died. Every now and then we'd have a funeral. It's because you don't know how to live. You don't know yourself. You don't know the earth. You don't know your environment. You don't know what is good for you and what is detrimental to you. So you live to die. And each one of you is committing suicide daily, but you don't know it. The scripture says, my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. The scripture says, how can they know except they have a preacher? And how can they have a preacher except he be sent? The merchants of death are not going to send you somebody to bring you out of their trap that is making them rich at your expense. This is non-racial, black and white together. Brown, red, and yellow together are suffering. The healthiest people in America are the Asian Americans. And some of the wisest people in terms of fundamental mathematics and science in this country are the children of the Asian people. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us that he who is proficient in mathematics is the builder of civilization. For mathematics is at the root of all the building sciences. Did you know that only 19% of white children graduated from high school proficient in mathematics, while 81% graduated not proficient in mathematics? And did you know that only 4% of black children graduated from high school proficient in mathematics, while 96% graduated with no proficiency in mathematics? And did you know that only 6% of Hispanic people graduated proficient in mathematics, while 94% graduated with no proficiency? Who were the most proficient? It was the Asians. They graduated at 32% proficient in mathematics. Even that is not a good number, but it shows you where the future of the world is going. You can talk all this, you're the greatest because you're white, but that ain't so. You have to tell that to the Asians today, because the Asians have the fastest growing economy in the world. Wall Street used to be the banking capital of the world, but it has moved to Tokyo. The Pacific Rim nations of the world have the fastest growing economy. So where's the future of a nation that is losing itself educationally, losing itself morally? I read a newspaper, it's the other newspaper. They happened to have me on the cover, and my name in bold letters. I was attracted to it naturally. And they said, this man Farrakhan is homophobic. He preaches against homosexuality. Hey, don't put all of that on me. Jesus said the effeminates wouldn't see the kingdom. You take that up with him. God said it was an abomination to him. You take that up with God. Don't bother me with it. I believe in God. Paul said in the last days men would be without natural affection. I didn't write it, Paul did. So if you're a homosexual, don't blame me. We all got our sin. We all got to straighten up. But don't put that on me. He's homophobic. Old Farrakhan says he's divine. I never said that. I'm just as divine as you are. I just said all of us are sinners. I have my share, you have your share. I didn't tell anybody I was divine. Well, they say you the Messiah. I didn't say that. I ain't crazy. But I do believe I'm from God. And I do believe I'm backed by God. But that doesn't make me one bit better than you. Because you are also from God. Now that makes the playing field kind of level, don't it? They said Farrakhan talking about a spaceship. Why don't you all tell the American people the truth? Liars, deceivers. President Carter said he saw it. And when he came into office, he said he was going to reveal it. When he got into office, he didn't do nothing. Many in government have seen them. They're here. They're not from alien forces. We know where they're from. Ezekiel had a vision of them. Go read your Bible. Ezekiel saw a wheel. A wheel that had eyes all around. It only means windows. It was a cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. It's up there. I never visited it. I just had a vision. You can disbelieve my vision. It's all right. Because it's my vision. A man don't tell a vision that he had expecting people to just jump up and say, I believe. Visions cause controversy. Prophet Muhammad had one too. And it created controversy. But his vision was true. I had a vision. I was taken up on the wheel in the vision. That's my vision. You don't have to believe me. But where's the proof, Brother Farrakhan? I heard the voice of Elijah Muhammad on the wheel. You say he's dead. That's your business. I know dead men don't speak. I heard his voice like you hearing mine. And he said to me, quote, President Reagan has met with the Joint Chiefs of Staff to plan a war. He didn't tell me who the war was with, but he told me that the president had met. He told me to tell it and tell the people where I got it from. And I did exactly what I was told. You can say I was crazy, but the same month that I had the vision, which was September 1985, that same month it came out in the New York Times, in the Atlanta Journal. President Reagan met with the Joint Chiefs of Staff. I didn't write it. And he met to plan a war against a small Muslim government, the government and people of Libya. in the Washington Post. They had a picture one day on the front page of the Washington Post. I don't believe the Washington Post deals with fantasy stories. That's for the Inquirer. That's for those other rap and rat sheets. But the Washington Post is one of the most respected newspapers in the world. On the front page, there was a Japanese pilot who had been flying planes, I think, for about 29 years. He was flying across the Bering Straits in a 747, and on his radar screen came up an image like he had never seen an image before. He described the image as the size of 2 aircraft carriers. The largest aircraft carrier that America has built is 440 yards long. 2 of them is a half a mile. That's the exact measurement that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us that the mother wheel was. It's a half a mile by a half a mile. It is a planet, but it is a planet that on it is a new world, and from it can come total destruction to this one. You can take it or let it alone. It is top secret in America what these wheels can do. You don't have to believe me, but America is in trouble. And you are in trouble because you have mistreated the people of God, and you gotta pay for it, and this is payday. God has set down every power, leaving America for him. Just like it was with Pharaoh, so it is with America. Pharaoh was the power in the earth, and the people began to worship Pharaoh as a god beside Jehovah, like the people worship America as a god beside Allah. Yeah? You think you're God? The scripture says God sent 9, some say 10 plagues against Pharaoh. Turned the water into blood. Hit him with frogs and flies and lice. Hail and rain and snow and earthquakes. Look at your country. You don't even know what's happening to yourself. You report the news, but the news has been written before you report it. It's in the book. But you don't believe in no Bible. You don't believe in the Quran. Some of you preachers preach it. Some of you imams preach it. But you don't live it, and you don't know that it's happening right while you're preaching it. These are not books that you can laugh at. These are living books. The Quran talks about how weak you are, white folk. You look powerful to yourself and to fools. But to the wise, they don't see you as so powerful. The Quran says of you, white people in power, not you little white folk. I'm talking about big white folk. Big white folk that make all little white folk and little black folk and big black folk bow down. The Quran says, if a flea, and listen to this, if a flea took a morsel of bread from the table of the powerful. The powerful don't have enough power to call the flea back to bring that morsel and put it down. Then the Quran said, weak is the invoker and weak is the invoked. How dare you bow down to something like that don't have a power to call back a gnat, but can send you like a punk all over the world to fight in wars that don't have nothing to do with you. What's the matter with you? You give the white man power that he don't even have because your fear of them is greater than your fear of God. You should be ashamed of yourself. They wanted us to call them Massa. Master Charlie? I couldn't dignify him that way. Call him my master. You should be ashamed of yourself. And that's the kind of knowledge you need to free you from the worship of everything that is other than God. And while I'm on that subject, Jesus never told you to worship him. You can applaud if you want to. Reverend, I want you to listen to my quoting of Scripture. And if I'm in error, I can be corrected by my brothers who are members and sisters who are members of the clergy and readers of Scripture. Jesus never told you to pray to him. Listen to me carefully. You start praying, you say, oh Jesus, stop right there. Stop, stop, stop. That's why you're not getting the kind of answers that you want and need. The people said to Jesus, Master, would you teach us how to pray? And Jesus said, pray on this wise. Our Father. Not mine and not yours. So no Christian is a bastard. I'm going to say that again. I don't care if your mother wasn't married to the man. No Christian can be a bastard if God is your father. We just talking. Our Father, listen to the words, which art in heaven. Hallowed be my name? No. Hallowed be thy name. Come on now. My kingdom come. Thy kingdom come. My will be done. No. Thy will be done. Where? On earth. As it is in heaven. Jesus said, whatsoever I hear, that I do. Whatsoever the Father speaks to me, that I speak. He said, there's none good but the Father. He said, God is a spirit, and those that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. Then he said, ask of the Father in my name, and he will grant it to you. He didn't say pray to me. He said pray to the Father in my name. Reverend, how did y'all get off course? You made the three equal. Jesus never said he was equal with God. God made him. When he was on the cross, he didn't pray to himself. Come on. When he saw what was coming, he didn't say, I think I'll just scoot it. He said, Father, remove this cup. He knew where the power was. When he was on the cross, he said, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani, my God. Wasn't calling on himself. Why have you forsaken me? But the God didn't forsake him. But look how submissive he was. Father, into your hands have I commended my spirit. It is finished. What's finished, Jesus? The course that I was to run. I have paid the price. I did what you brought me into the world to do. This part of it is finished. But he wasn't finished, because God, according to the Quran, exalted him to himself, raised him. The people thought he was dead, according to the Quran. Well. Now here we are, back at the ranch. Or better, back on the plantation, looking to Bill Clinton to free us, looking to Nixon and Ford and Johnson and Kennedy and all these folk to free us. Brothers, sisters, freedom is a precious gift that comes from God. It ain't white folks to give. And they can't stop you from being free once you submit your will to do the will of the God of freedom. The first thing he does is to give you knowledge of him and knowledge of that which you worship other than him, and then remove fear from you. And once fear is removed from you, then you can take free steps. You can think free thoughts. And you can bring what you vision into reality, because you don't see the opposition as long as God is walking with you, and you are walking with God. And so, Ben Chavis was fired. Well, what that got to do with freedom? And so, Ben Chavis was fired. Now, Ben Chavis, like all of us, can make errors of judgment. And I will be the first to say that I believe that he made an error in judgment in paying that woman a dime. And whoever advised him, in my judgment, didn't advise him properly. And to go into the treasury that belongs to an organization, even if it is your right, to pay for something that might be damaging personally, and then through that personal damage the organization. It might sound right, but in your heart you know that it's not right. To be over the treasure of the people is a sacred trust. Elijah Muhammad put me over the treasures of the believers in New York. And he told me, whatever you need, Brother Farrakhan, you can go in and take it, but put a note saying what you took it for. To this day, he never found a note, because I never took as much as a dime or as little as a penny. Because I was taught that when you are over the people's money, it is better that you die protecting it. That's what Malcolm taught me. He said, die protecting the money, because the people will never believe that you didn't take it. My house as a young minister was set on fire with 6 of my 9 children in the house. I got, by the grace of God, all of my children out of the house, and then I ran back into the flames to get the poor people's little money that I had in a little safe. I couldn't make it. The flames were too intense, the smoke too hot, so I came out and stood watch. The minute the flames died down and the smoke cleared, I went and got the people's money, put it in a little pillow, and took it to a brother's house nearby for safekeeping. This is the way I was trained. When we are in a public position, the public money is not ours. It is a responsibility of whoever is in leadership to watch the public funds and administer them in such a way that you bring the organizational goals and objectives to fruition. Many times we are so poor in leadership. The leaders are broke. They don't have a nice car, some of them. They don't live in the fine home. So they find a way. They love to write government, proposals for government grants. You know how we are. The minute we get a grant, the government says the grant is to do X, Y, and Z. And we say, I want to try and do A, B, C. And the government gives you a long rope and then comes back years later to audit you. Then everybody's in a panic. And you go into jail, disgraced, because they tricked you. Mel Reynolds is in trouble in Chicago. They say he took PAC money and diverted it to his pocket. The reason leaders are like that is because they don't have what they should have to begin with. So Elijah Muhammad knew, and the God who taught him, knew how to set things up so that the leader wouldn't have to steal because he'd be well taken care of. How good I look. How well I drive. How well I live. I don't have to steal. But when I was poor, ragged, hungry, naked, and damn near out of doors and had to pick up food in the street for my babies, I never took the people's money. And as long as the people have nobody that they can trust, then you're going to put your money in the bank. That's why banks are set up. Because you can't trust nobody. And you ain't got enough. You don't want nobody to take it, so you put it in the bank. So Big Brother is watching your bank account. They take your money, give you this little jive interest, and lend your money at high interest. Bank don't have money unless you give them money. Nothing but a damn racket. But we're going to bust all of this up. You're crooked and rotten. And you suck the blood of poor people. You make merchandise of the poor because you have knowledge and they don't, so you abuse them. But that day is coming quickly to an end. Now, Ben Chavis may have made an error in judgment, but that is really not the reason why that brother was put out. You can't tell me he was put out because he may have sexually harassed somebody. Which all of us who have women around us, it's a shame that because you hire a woman, you feel that gives you the right to sleep with every woman that works for you. You don't care whether she's married or not. You're going to violate your brother's house because his pretty wife is a good secretary. Wrong. I've been in this work 40 years. And there's not one woman that can stand up and say, in truth, you stand up and say what you want to say. But there's not one woman that has ever worked for me and with me that can say I ever touched her. improperly, hinted to her, even subtly, that I wanted favors from her. Not one in 40 years. You can trust me with your daughter, brother, and you can trust me with your wife. I'm not holy. I'm just one of the brothers struggling to overcome weakness to become perfect or a real true Muslim. And a true Muslim means one who submits his or her will entirely to do the will of God. That's what I want to be. You say, well, you can't be it if you're going to be a racist. I'm not a racist. I hate racism. I hate anything that exalts one human being over another because of some color difference or educational difference or money difference or station in life. When I was a child, I spoke like a child because I understood as a child. Wasn't that what I was speaking was wrong? My understanding was childlike. But when I became mature in the gospel, I put away childish things. I do not dislike somebody because they are white. If I hated people because of their skin color, what was the skin color of Master Farad Muhammad, the great teacher of Elijah Muhammad? He had a black father and a white mother. But we look at him as the Mahdi, the guide, one in whom the spirit and will and power and presence and knowledge of God is more in that man than any human being on the earth. And I haven't met one yet that can show me in truth that what I have said is other than the truth. You are not my teacher. No college professor can say, that's my student. I'm a student of Elijah Muhammad, but college professors come and sit at my feet. I don't take a back seat to no scholar nowhere on the earth, no matter if it's the Pope of Rome or the Grand Sheikhs in Mecca. Nobody. What I know from Elijah Muhammad is a winner all over the earth. So if you can't claim that you taught me, I have no degree from none of your colleges. I'm a man without letters but learned. And by the grace of God, I'm producing a better product than any of your college-trained professors, leaders, teachers, and guides. We take the refuse that you reject and throw away, and we make something out of them. You give up on your children, but we take them. What do we have that you don't have? We have something from Allah, God, that allows us to redeem even the worst of our people. Ben Chavis committed a great sin when he said he wanted to reach out to people that before were not a part of the agenda of the NAACP. Oh, wait a minute. To the leaders of the NAACP, blacks and Jews and some Gentiles sat down and started the NAACP. What was it started for? To advance colored people. I don't use that term, colored, because colored is the past participle of the verb to color. And when you've colored something, you've changed it from its original state. You ain't done that to people. You didn't color me. But anyway, since we are still struggling to find our identity, you know, we went from Negroes to Negroes with a small N to a capital N, to colored people, to people of color, to Afro-Americans, to African Americans. I don't know what the hell you are. Ain't none of them names right. I might as well clear all of it up while I'm on the subject. You're not colored. Oh. You're certainly not a Negro with a small N or a big N. I might as well clear all of it up while I'm on the subject. You're not colored. Oh. You're certainly not a Negro with a small N or a big N. Negro or negro, they say means black in Spanish. But if you call me black in English, I might bust you upside your head. So you can get away with calling me black in Spanish, just don't use English. Stupid. When you use the word negro in Spanish, it relates to inanimate objects. Negro zapato. Black shoe. Shoe is inanimate. You call it negro. But when you deal with human beings, you use another word, moreno, which comes from the word that they used to describe the blacks that became Muslims. From the 7th to the 11th centuries and came out of Africa into Spain and Portugal and southern France, even to the gates of Vienna. These were called Moors or blackamoors and Muslims. They were black people. That's why some of you Italians are dark. Because we colored you.
Watch this report.
Yeah, I'm going to. You know, the Sicilians in Italy, they're very dark. They call them swarthy, but we know. We've been up there in Ireland too. We got some of you. Spain and Portugal. The root of all of that, their civilization, you can trace it back to their brush with Islam, their brush with Muslims. Some of the Christians boasted that they had never taken a bath. That's right. Dirtiness was a part of the way they lived. You think these people were clean all the time? Do you know who established bathing in Spain? It was the Muslims. And you need to wash and be clean one more time. Dirty people, nasty people, don't know what water is for. Take a bath. We used to bathe once a week. Tell me I'm crazy. We bathed on Saturday night, getting ready for church on Sunday morning. 6 days, you throw a little water everywhere. We didn't know what it was to bathe every day. Talk to me. Excuse me. Don't leave. I'm almost finished. Dear brothers and sisters, the Muslims that came out of Spain or out of Africa mingled in with the Spanish. We stayed there in Spain a long time, and it was intermarriage, you understand, and we colored them. Everywhere we went, we colored people. I guess that's why they called us colored people. You sure ain't gonna remain white if you stay around us long. We gonna color you. And you can be as white as you want. You just get near a black woman. Even though you carry the sperm, she'll color it for you, I understand. Oh, yeah. And y'all know how much you like color. Sitting in the sun till you get skin cancer. I don't know why you all want to change. You're so beautiful. Negro means something lifeless, something dead, something hard, something neutral. They knew that when they cut us off from Africa, cut us off from our God, our religion, our name, our language, our culture, they had cut us like a tree without roots. We became dead, and the Bible calls us dry bones in the valley. We have now become dismembered, and we've fallen apart from each other. We're a dead people, lifeless, hard, cold, neutral. So they named you Negro. Then you got a little bit smart. You didn't want to say African. Afro American. And today, you've really got it together. I am an African American. When? No, wait a minute. How did this country get named America? Some dude called Amerigo Vespucci. Were you in existence before Amerigo was born? How did Africa get named Africa? Who named it? Did you? Shut up. You ain't named nothing. You didn't name yourself. The name you got is the name that white folk gave you. Johnson, Jones, Smith, Riley, Culpeper, Washington, Lincoln, Jackson. That's their name. They branded their horses, branded their pigs, and named their Negroes. That's how you got to be like you are. And you so proud of your family name. My name is George Washington Johnson III. Have you ever noticed you don't ever find no white person named Washington? I've never met a white Washington. Have you? I went to a big high school with thousands of students. There was no white Washingtons. Everybody named Washington in there was black. And yet the father of the country is called George. Not George Foreman, George Washington. You mean to tell me George never had no children? Yes, he did. He had slaves. And he went in and out of black women. He couldn't destroy their blackness. He took away some. But he couldn't take it all. Then he named us Washington. Right, Washington? Africa was named by two Europeans, one an explorer and one a conqueror named Africanus. And they called the continent Africa, and all the people there were called Africans. See, white folk who were made rulers, they were given the power to name. And everything they touch, they name it. Oh, that comet, that's called, what's the name? Halley's, yes. Poor Columbus, the dude wanted to find a new route to India. He goes west and runs into some people, he don't know who they are. He called, oh, these must be Indians. Then they call that part West Indies. So now you call yourself a West Indian. Oh, man, you're all messed up. You know that, don't you? You know that, don't you? So the native people, they call them Native Americans. They don't know nothing about Vespucci. They were here before America was born, thousands of years. You will call them Native Americans. Best thing you can call them is the native. They're certainly not American. And neither are you. When did you get to be one? Why are you still singing, "We shall overcome"? Well, wait a minute. They made us Americans because, they amended the Constitution. Did they really? See, white folks give a paper trail. They amended the paper. They never amended their ways. That's why you're in the ghetto. And they call me a separatist. You got a hell of a nerve. Farrakhan, the separatist. We didn't come over on an integrated ship. You was up top. We were in the holes. You know it's right. We were in the field. A few of us they let in the house. We were separated, weren't we? Segregated, weren't we? Who did that, Farrakhan? No, white folks did that. You such a wonderful Christian, aren't you? But when you allowed us to be Christians, we couldn't worship with you. We had to worship in the field, in our own little church. And that's why, Reverend, you ain't got no integrated church. No. They don't want you in there. And you really can't use them in yours. You know what I mean? Look, wait. I can see white folks that are holding this church, beating the tambourine off beat, you know what I mean? They're trying to hoop a little bit today. My man in Baton Rouge, what's his name? Yeah, Jimmy Swaggart. He's a great preacher. but he can't hoop. Best he can do is get to a certain point and cry. Y'all think we gonna get along? You get along as long as you want to go that way. The minute you look at the way white folks think and the way we think, our minds ain't running like we gonna get along. We have irreconcilable differences, brother and sister, and whether you know it or not, it's leading to the divorce of the two people. You can take it or let it alone. So I'm gonna get right to the point. No black organization is really ours. The NAACP is not ours. Not in reality. It's yours in that you are the members, you are the leaders, but who's giving the money? That's what you gotta answer. You're playing to corporate America. You have to go to corporations and foundations and appeal to them for the money to run your organization. You got $300 to $400 billion in purchasing power in the black community. What the hell do you need a corporate America for to run a black organization? Talk to me. What do you need corporate American foundations for? If your foundation is rooted in black people, then with $300 to $400 billion, black people should be financing their own organizations. But they don't. You know why? Because most of our black organizations are elitist in nature. And they play to the rich, and they have to appeal to the rich, and as long as your organization stays within parameters that make white people comfortable. Now I want you to hear me what I'm saying now. I'm going to say it again. As long as your organizational objectives allow white people who give you money to be comfortable, they will finance you. Now, I'm not anti-Semitic. Any Jewish person that's in the house, I would be a fool to dislike you because of your faith. That's silly. That is absolutely silly, and I'm not a silly person. At least, I don't think I am. Because you are Jewish, all of us as Muslims believe in all the prophets that came to Israel. We believe in the scriptures that were given to the children of Israel from their prophets. We believe in the law that Moses brought to the children of Israel, and we follow similar dietary restrictions, us and the Jews. Why should we dislike you because of your faith? It ain't got nothing to do with your faith. It's got something to do with the way some of you think, and more importantly, with the way some of you act, to keep black people under your control. Now that I'm going to fight until black people get free. And if it means exposing your hand, don't call me anti-Semitic. Call me pro-liberation of every black man, woman, and child from your control. Now let's talk. Brothers and sisters, the Jewish people are wise people. They're not fools. They have been gifted to receive many of the prophets. And when a prophet comes, he imparts higher knowledge called revelation. Jews are the recipients of more of the prophets than anybody else. So you should know more. And to him, to whom much is given, much is required. They're not foolish people. They're very wise people, and they lead almost in every field of human endeavor. That's to their credit. We don't mock that. We honor and respect that. However, there are some from among this people who don't like us. I want you to listen now. And if you can prove me wrong, then you do that. But let me tell you something. I'm not going to bow down. I don't give a damn how much power you think you have. If we got into it, I'm going to be the winner. I'm letting you know that in front. I'm going to be the winner. As long as God is with me and I'm with God, you can't do nothing with me. Did you know that it was some rabbinical scholars, according to our research, that invented the myth of the curse of Ham? All Jewish people didn't do this. And it would be foolish to say and put the blame on everybody for what a few had done. But listen, listen, listen. Your own scholars said that some of your own people invented the myth of the curse of Ham. Do you know how we've suffered from that? You know what the myth of the curse of Ham is? Ham was one of the sons of Noah. You are called anthropologically Hamitic people. Hamitic. Don't put that mess on me. I was before Ham. I was before Noah. I was before the Adam of this world. So none of those names that you apply to us anthropologically fit us. We are an ancient, ancient people. And when we know something about our ancient, ancient heritage, we will not let any Johnny-come-lately name us. They don't know their origin in the world unless we tell them. I know this is getting rather stinging. But if you can't take it, you know, I don't know why. Unless you hurting for somebody else, that's your problem. White folk ain't hurt by what I'm saying. They may be alarmed, but they're not hurt. They're not offended. They want to know. Inquiring minds want to know. They say that Ham made mockery of Noah's drunkenness, and Noah cursed Ham. That's in the Bible. But somebody interpreted it to say he cursed Ham, and Ham was cursed black. And the curse was that he was to be doomed to be a hewer of wood and a drawer of water, meaning a servant. Now, why you kill your black self? Talk to me. Because you hate. You don't hate white people. You hate yourself. No matter what white people have done to you, you ain't drive-by shooting in that neighborhood. You're killing your own babies, killing your own women and children, making mothers grieve to death because they live in an unsafe environment because you, in your hatred of yourself, feel that your blackness is something of a divine curse. Some of the very conscious of color people say, on the first day of the new year, don't let a black person cross your door first. That means that your whole year is going to be bad luck. How many of you have heard something like that? Raise your hands up. You know that the same white folk that developed apartheid in Africa had us divided against ourselves. They put their seed in us and brought somebody like Farrakhan and then made somebody light with less kinky hair and a different shaped nose make us think we're better than our blacker brother and sister. Talk to me. So, to get away from blackness is to get away from the divine curse. Ain't that something? So you don't want to be black? Well, in Africa, one of the biggest sellers is skin whiteners. When I was in Nigeria, I was appalled. All these black mothers with these black babies walking with white dolls. Training you from a baby to be a mammy all over again. Through a doll. You don't think so? Check it out. We don't own Hollywood. But some Jewish people put us on movie screen. Not playing an intelligent role that our fathers have played in history. You never showed us that. You know damn well you didn't. You put us on television as the clowns and the buffoons. Mantan Moreland buck in his eye. Stephen Fletcher. Hattie McDaniels. These are beautiful black people. But they could only play a role as a maid, a mammy, to give millions of black people the image of a hewer of wood and a drawer of water. And who were we to Jews? We were your cooks. We were your maids. We made your beds. We cleaned your house. We were in your sweatshops. We were in the garment district. We were hewers of wood. We were drawers of water. We ain't got a problem. You gave us a job. But we worked for you. You didn't work for us. When you saw one of us had talent, what did you do? You took us. You took us. And you put us before your brothers and sisters as a fighter. We had strength. We could knock them down. You made the money. You gave us some. And then the IRS would come later and take the rest. Who writes these damnable sitcoms in Hollywood that got you on the screen playing a damn fool in all your foolish roles? You make money, but you're selling your people down the river. Who's making money from black women with a string in their behind on MTV? Talk to me. Make you low down and filthy, and then make a profit from your being low down and filthy. A dog don't get on any television and cock its tail so you can see its private parts. But you, the people of God, have been brought down so low, and some of our men don't give a damn. Put your woman on television bumping and grinding with a damn string in her behind. And you sitting at the TV, your children sitting there watching garbage and filth. You have become the pigs of the earth. It hurts that you will do anything for money. Today you got a role in Hollywood now. Look at Wesley Snipes, the bad man. You give him a macho role, and then you break him down. And now he's playing a drag queen. Money! Make you sell your soul. Philadelphia Story. The brilliant actor. He's playing one that frowned on homosexuality. But in the end, he accepts it now. It's a style of life because most of your great Hollywood producers have gone that way. And they want the world to go that way. You know I'm right, but you gonna call me anti-Semitic. What the hell are you? You anti-black. You have destroyed our self-concept. You have destroyed our self-esteem. You have destroyed our self-love. And now we've become destroyers of ourselves. Let's look at you. I didn't write no Little Black Sambo book. You wrote it, you #1 miseducator. I had to go to kindergarten and learn about Little Black Sambo running around a tree. You write that stuff. Goldilocks. You know damn well we ain't got no Goldilocks. Can hardly have locks unless we extend it. So now you want to be gold. So you bleach it up. You want it straight, so you fix it up. Wig it up. Trying to be white. They trying to be black. The curse of Ham is alive and well, and whites have benefited from our hatred of ourselves. They sell more cigarettes in our community, more beer, wine, and liquor in our community. And now the drugs are coming in, and the guns are coming in. Years ago, they wouldn't let a black person have a lot of guns. But today, you got a plenty of guns, so you can kill yourself. Yeah, you fixed up. And I didn't do that. Farrakhan didn't mess these people up. You did. Farrakhan trying to straighten up the mess that white folk made, and now you gonna call me a racist. What the hell are you? What are you? I'm in this world 61 years. I've never done one thing against a white person. I don't plot against them. I don't stop them. But they do everything in their power to stop me and to stop us. And that's what's wrong. Ben Chavis reached out to gangs. Was Ben wrong? Somebody got to reach out to him. Why shouldn't a respected leader of a respected organization sit down with gang leaders? Ben Chavis is no gang leader. Ben Chavis is not sanctifying gang development. Ben Chavis wanted to sit down, see the problem, understand it, and try to bring the gangs into a better way of life. And you hate him for that? Ben Chavis sat down in Detroit with nationalist leaders. Do the nationalists have AIDS? What's wrong with nationalists? That you integrationists can't sit down with a nationalist. What have you integrated? Talk to me. The schools are more segregated today than they were when Martin Luther King was here. But you an integrationist? You're a hypocrite. That's what you are. What the hell have you integrated? Reverend, when you integrate your church, Grand Master, when you integrate the Masonic Lodge, when you integrate Omega, when you integrate Delta and AK8 and you talk to me, you ain't no damn integrationist. You know what I'm saying is right. You love being with your own. And ain't nothing wrong with that. When the Jews meet, they don't call you. Which one of you black reporters is a member of the Anti-Defamation League? Well, how in the hell did they get membership in your black organization and you have no membership in there? Talk to me. If black people get together, white folk gotta be there. Why you gotta be there? You want to know what we're saying. You want to hear what we're planning. Why? Because you're scared to death that one day we'll do to you what you did to us. God don't put that spirit in us. We're not a vindictive people. God don't put that kind of spirit in us to do to white folk what they did to us. Some of us got that spirit. But hell, if all of us had that spirit, you couldn't walk among us. I watch white folk in Africa, they walk in Africa just as free, like they never did nothing. They come in the ghetto, they walk free. Scared though. Then Reverend Chavis made an unpardonable sin. He reached out to Louis Farrakhan. Now this was the straw that broke the camel's back. Oh, wait a minute. What's so bad about Farrakhan? Farrakhan is an anti-Semite. Look, man. Let me say something to you. You know that I'm growing in strength all over America and all over the world. I haven't organized one picket against one Jewish establishment. You will never find us painting a swastika on a Jewish synagogue. You will find Muslims protecting a synagogue because we are commanded by Allah to honor and respect every house where God's name is remembered. We will never go to a Jewish cemetery and turn over a tombstone. And we will never, ever do evil to you We will only fight you if you fight us. Now look, what is my crime then? If we haven't beat any Jewish person, shot any Jewish person, robbed any Jewish person, picketed against any Jewish person, gone out in front of their synagogues and raised hell, we haven't done none of this. But you all come around me and you set up chants. Who do you want? Farrakhan. How do you want him? Dead. Who do you want? Farrakhan. How do you want him? Dead. Hey, well, hey, baby. You don't find us chanting that for you. But I'm the anti-Semite. That's a damn shame. That's a damn shame. Y'all ought to stop that foolishness. You know what it is? You can criticize the government and you can get away with it. You got to pay a little price. You can criticize whites and their evil against blacks. You can get away with it. But the moment you try to criticize Jewish people for anything that some of them have done, you're an anti-Semite. And that is wrong. All of a sudden, Mandela's an anti-Semite. Jesse Jackson is an anti-Semite. All black leaders who have any kind of courage is an anti-Semite. We all can't be wrong. You just don't want us to be free. That's the real deal. Now let's see if I'm right. Ben Chavis called a summit. That was dangerous. And you know what? We responded. We didn't respond because it was Ben Chavis. We responded because the call came from the most respected civil rights organization in America, the NAACP. When he, representing the NAACP, called a summit of the family, we all came together. Jesse Jackson was there. Members of the Black Caucus were there. The Elks were there. The Masons and Shriners were there. The Greek letter fraternities were there. The doctors, the dentists, and lawyers were there. The educators were there. Black scholars were there. The Methodists were there. The Baptists were there. The Church of God in Christ was there. The AME, the CME was there. The Episcopalians were there. The Catholics were represented. Imam Warid-Din Muhammad was there. His representative was there. The Nation of Islam was there. The Hebrew Israelites were there. Poets and scholars were there. Betty Shabazz was there. For Betty Shabazz to be in the same room with Louis Farrakhan. Think about that. She's my sister. No, I want you to listen. She has suffered great pain for nearly 30 years in the loss of her husband. She sees me as one of those who went against her husband. And she's right. I did. I went against her husband when her husband went against the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I made a choice. Either the student or the teacher. I chose the teacher. History will judge me as to whether I was right or wrong. I never pulled no trigger on the man. I stood up for what I believed in yesterday. Damn it, and I do the same thing again today and tomorrow. I was not wrong. History will show that I'm right. But for Betty to be in the same room with Louis Farrakhan, she elevated the pain of our people above her own personal pain. That is the value of the summit. Imam Warithuddin Muhammad does not agree with Louis Farrakhan, but his representative was there, and we were there. Hakeem Madhubuti and some of the nationalists don't agree with us, nor the civil rights people, but we all were there. Jesse Jackson and some of the others don't agree, but we were all there because your pain and the pain and hurt of our people is bigger than our petty, peculiar differences one with the other. That credit goes to Ben Chavis and the NAACP. But after we said, and the closing of that summit, the most revolutionary thing that we could do is just be quiet and let the Reverend Chavis speak for all of us. And we all got in a room and helped to fashion the statement that the Reverend Chavis would make on our behalf. And all of us stood behind Reverend Chavis as he spoke for all of us. And when the press could usually say, Farrakhan, Minister Farrakhan, what do you think about, I'm sorry, Reverend Chavis speaks for us. Reverend Jackson, nobody spoke. Well, when they saw that, that represented a change. That represented something that they felt could be dangerous. Not for us, not really for them. And so they put pressure on all the branches of the NAACP. And you know I'm telling the truth. Because all of you got corporate people giving you money, and you got white philanthropists and foundations giving you money on a local level. Because you all are on welfare. Now let's talk. Damn it, let's look at truth. You claim our people are on welfare. 2, 3, 4 generations of our people sitting around waiting for a check from the government. And our leaders are on welfare. And our black organizations are on welfare, sitting down waiting for the Ford Foundation, the Rockefeller Foundation, or Jewish philanthropy, or corporate America to give their money so they can appear like they are our leaders. Y'all look good. You posture like you're a real leader. But when white folks start pulling them purse strings, we see who's your real leader. You buck dancing. So you had to get rid of Ben Chavis, because that's the only way you could get money. You didn't care if Ben Chavis slept with anybody, because it ain't about morals. All y'all doing it. It ain't never been about high morals, Reverend. Because if it was about high morals, you wouldn't be in your position. Now let's talk, real talk. You know what I'm saying is right. Somebody gotta say it. Jesse Jackson can't move as free as he would like to be because he wants to be president. Well, hell, if he want to be president, he can't say too much over here. He might lose the Italians. He go too far over here, he'll lose the Jews. He go too far over here, he'll lose the Irish. So he... Shit. They had a convention in Atlanta recently. You go to the convention, you see Coors Beer, big sign. R.J. Reynolds, big sign. Well, if that's our organization, we ought to be able to finance our own conventions. But if the merchants of death finance your convention, how in the hell can you tell your people don't drink Coors Beer? How can you tell your people don't smoke their cigarettes when they're backing you because you really don't have no backing in the people? You ain't got no leaders. They only lead as long as they lead comfortably for white people. And I just refuse. In fact, I know by the grace of God, I'll never be that kind of man. Hear you all singing, before I'll be a slave, I'll be dead in my grave and go to my Lord and be free. Fool. White folks were like that. Go to your grave and go to your Lord and be free. That's the only way you can be free. While people on top of the ground are free, you got to go under the ground to be free. What the hell is wrong with you? You say, oh, Farrakhan, you're cussing. Yeah, you're damn right I'm cussing. You ought to be glad it's just a damn and a hell, because if I didn't cuss, I'd be killing. I'm out of here. And so, black man, black woman, Columbus, Ohio, I must say to you all, I'm a free black man. I thank God that he made me free. But freedom don't mean free to be totally unrestrained and unconfined and unlimited. Hold it. Don't run. The party's going to be over in a minute, and you got another party to go to. The night is young, baby. And so, to be free means to be free, but to be responsible within the limits that law and God prescribe. But I'm free within that sphere. I can do everything of good, but I can't do evil. I'm forbidden to do that. I must never treat any man other than the way I wish to be treated. You don't have to worry about Farrakhan. I won't mistreat you. I am responsible. But I'm responsible not to you. I'm responsible to God and the law that he lays down by his prophets if I want to be considered a righteous servant of God. I'm free. My people support me. Lord, you don't know. You know that person that sang that song, I wish that I knew what it means to be free. You wish. Let me tell you, I know what it means to wake up in the morning and ain't nobody telling me I got to come here or go there. I get up when I please. I go to sleep when I please. No alarm clock telling me I got to run and work for Boss Charlie. But I'm up every morning around between 3 and 5 a.m. I'm up working every morning. I work 18 to 21 hours every day. Done it for years. I don't have to do it, but I do it because I love to do what I'm doing. And I'm doing what I was born to do. And when you do what you're born to do, you do it effortlessly. You do it with ease. You do it with joy because it's what you're born to do. See, I'm just born to tell it. I never could keep it. When I was young, my mother would smack me because I would tell it all. I just got to tell it. But the truth will set us all free. The Nation of Islam is a group of men and women committed to obedience to God, first and foremost, and our way of devotion given to us is to work unceasingly for the liberation of our people. There are some who will pray all day and do nothing, but we pray and work for the liberation of our people. In closing, Ben Chavis, who called us all together, the wicked saw power there. Please give me 5 minutes. That's all I want. 5 more. Can I get 5 more? 5 more. 5 more. 5 more. Thank you. Let me move quick. Here's what they saw. How many times has a white president ever come to you and asked you what black people wanted before they got your vote? You see them all put on a yarmulke and go to the synagogue because they respect Jews. And they know that Jews, though less in number than you, much better organized, much better tied with the way they use their money, they could hurt a president. So the president goes, the Jews have an agenda. And they say, Mr. President, what are you going to do? Point 1, point 2, point 3, point 4. And when the president answers right, they say, well, okay, we may give you our vote. They don't ever come to you. And black leaders don't ever ask that they have a forum in the black community to talk to you about your agenda. Your leaders are supposed to present an agenda for you to them. They haven't done it. We voted for the Reverend Jackson. When he got to the convention, you know what they gave him? A platform to give a speech on primetime television. And we never got nothing. But some of us got appointments in high places here or there, and the Reverend Jackson opened that door for many. But the masses, you didn't get nothing. And you were the ones out there pounding the pavement, doing all the legwork, but you didn't get nothing. He ran twice. He got 7 million votes. The man registered more people for the Democratic Party than anybody has ever done in the history, and they treated him like he was nothing. Bill Clinton didn't even want to invite him around. And you know I'm right. If it weren't for Jesse Jackson, Dinkins wouldn't have been mayor. That brother in Virginia, Wilder, would never have been governor. But the moment they got in, they dissed Jesse. They couldn't be seen with the reverend. You know I'm telling it right. The Democratic Party has used us. The Republicans don't find too much use for us. What I would like to ask all of us to do is get out of both parties. And I would like to ask all black people to become independent. And I'm going to show you what can happen. If we keep the summit together, that's why they want to break it up. That's why they had to have the Saturday night massacre before the Sunday summit, so they could blow the summit out of the water by getting rid of Chavis on Saturday night. They knew what they were doing. But he was courageous enough to have the summit anyway, but many of the big leaders didn't attend. But I want you to help me put pressure on all of them. Tell Jesse you won't get one damn vote from us. You better get in that summit. Tell him. You scared too? Tell the NAACP you got to be a part of the summit. Because only when we come together can we find solutions to our problem. You done tried everything else. You kneeled in, weighed in, prayed in, floated in, cried in, and you still left out. So why not try what you never tried before? You tried arming yourself, you shot people, you killed people. But what do you got? Nothing. The only thing you haven't tried is unity of the whole. And they who say they like black people, if they oppose our unity, they are our enemies, and we should treat them as our enemies. I would like to ask all of you to encourage your leaders, stay together in the summit. Why? Because the summit in your name, there's a presidential election coming up. The summit in your name can call Mr. Clinton. We want you to appear before the summit. And we'll work out an agenda that we know is in your best interest. And before we give him one vote, he got to address our concerns. That's what's wrong with you. You vote, but nobody gives you what you're looking for because you're not unified enough. They just keep us fighting each other, and they benefit from our division. So, brothers and sisters, again, if we were in unity, now all those people in that room represented about 30 million black people. Suppose we asked everyone through these leaders to put up $10 a month in a national fund. Listen, 30 million people putting up $10 a month. How much is that in 1 month? 300 million in the first month. By the third month, you got 900 million, nearly $1 billion. Now look at your leverage. 4 times 3 is 12. That means you got 1 billion, right? 200 million in 1 year. In 3 years, you got 3,600,000,000 in a treasure. Some nations don't have that kind of money. Now you want to, let's talk about what you're going to do with it. One of the first things we need to be free is land. You're losing all your land back to your slave master. So now with 3,600,000,000, how many acres of land should we tie up? Look at this. 30 million people eat 1 slice of bread per meal. So that's 30 million eating an average of 3 slices of bread per day. That's 90 million slices of bread per day. 630 million slices of bread per week. 32,760,000,000 slices of bread per year. How much land must we have under wheat cultivation to give our people their daily bread? Then when you think like that, you buy enough land, you grow the wheat, you turn the wheat into flour, then you put your bread out to your people and call it our daily bread. Now all of us eat bread. White folk getting the benefit from your need for bread. Why not put that money right back in our own pocket? Let's go some more. Let's go some more. You see those cows that give milk? They don't just give milk to white folks. They'll give their milk to you. Wouldn't you like to see a carton of milk with a pretty black baby on it? That comes from a cow that we didn't inject with hormones to produce the milk faster, to begin poisoning the people? Suppose you went to your supermarket, not theirs, yours, that we could set up in all the major cities, several of them. On your farmland, you produce your own crops, then you take it in a canning factory. Then you make your own cans that ain't Del Monte peas. It's First Baptist peas, AME corn, black Catholic asparagus. And before you know it, your shelves are filled with what you produce under healthful conditions, and we buy from ourselves, and the billions of dollars that we spend on food start coming right back in our own pocket. Now let's go some more, just a little bit more, just a little bit more. Did we pick cotton? Did we pick it for white folks? We don't need to pick it no more, but we sure need to grow it. So if we grow cotton and pick it with the modern machines, turn the cotton into lint and then the lint into cloth, and then you can set up factories in the major cities making your own clothes, so you don't have to wear the freak styles of freakish designers who got you half naked in the street driving your men crazy. We were already crazy. You just helping us to get to the insane asylum. Here we all wear underwear, and we ain't gonna be right till they get their hands on us. But we shouldn't be right till we make some of our own, and we buy our own drawers. Make your own shoes. Tell the government now, look, you don't send no more factories to third world nations. We are in a third world condition. You got to bring those factories back to the ghetto. Now I'm going to show you how you can do that. If we stay united, how many of you drink Pepsi? Raise your hand. How many of you drink Coke? Raise your hand. Yeah, all y'all giving your money to them, but what do they give us? They may give a little to the NAACP, a little to the Urban League, a little to this one, but if the summits stay together, we go to Pepsi. Say, look here, Pepsi. This is how much money you're getting from us. Now here's what we want you to do. We want you to pick 3 cities, and I want you to set up a bottling company in the heart of the ghetto. Not that we work for you, that we and you is partners. He said, we can't do that, Farrakhan. We can't do that, Ben Chavis. Oh, yeah, you can. All 30 million of us. Pepsi ain't the right thing, baby. After a few months, Pepsi will call Ben in, or whoever represents us in, and say, look, all right, we can't do 5, but we can do 3, or we can't do 3. Then we go to Coke. Now you're using your unity as leverage, because there ain't none of them going to do good on their own. You got to have a gun. And I don't mean no AK-47. The gun you need to fire is your unity. Now we go to Pepsi or Coke and say, look here, Coke. And then we put a squeeze on them. Ain't nothing wrong with squeezing people. It only mean you love them. Then you go to General Motors. All you Cadillac, Chevy, Pontiac. You know what you buy. We keep General Motors loaded, and all they do is give us a few jobs and a little bit of money. We say to GM, look here, man, don't send no factory up in Taiwan or over here where you got them cheap dollars. We want to go in partnership with you. We want one right in the heart of the ghetto. And they'll do it. You don't think they will? You stop buying General Motors products, see how fast they act. See, white folk ain't crazy. If you pull a gun on them, they got a bigger gun. But you take the money from them. Now they start acting nice. Go to Nike. Tell them I just flew in town. My name is Air Jordan. Look here, Nike. We're all buying your little shoes. We ain't got no factories. Our people need jobs in the inner cities. You either put a factory up in Columbus, or we don't buy your shoes no more. And if you follow us and we say we ain't buying Nike, and we don't buy Nike, Nike gonna come across. And before you know it, with us squeezing ourselves and then squeezing them and squeezing the government, do you know what? You're gonna get justice. And it'll roll down the mountain like a mighty stream, because your unity brought you what your division could never, ever bring you. And that's why I say to you, listen, we're going out the door. Hold on. I say to you, support black organizations. If you want them to be yours, the NAACP is a potentially magnificent organization. We don't want to see nothing happen to the NAACP, but we want to make it ours. We don't want no corporate people squeezing the NAACP. We want to support the NAACP so that the NAACP can be free to fight for you and me. Can no corporate body squeeze me? Because they ain't giving me nothing. Mine come from you. When you came here today, the mosque is going to be strengthened. We're going to be strengthened because you came. You continue to make me free to speak. I ain't begging none of them for nothing. And we're building all the time. You'll soon see it. You'll soon see it. We intend to do exactly what we told you to do, and you didn't do it. So we're going to do it and show you that it can be done. So, beloved, from this day forward, I want you to pledge that you're going to look at your beautiful black self and know that you're not cursed, you're blessed. You're not black because you're cursed, you're black because you are the first of God's creation. That doesn't make you better. You're only better if you're better in duty to God and in service to the people. So, beloved, if you will learn to love yourself and then learn to love your neighbor as yourself, do good to yourself and do good to your family members, then white folk won't have to fear nothing from you, because if you're good to self, others will begin to be good to you. The less you kill yourself, the less they will feel free to kill you. The more you love yourself and love one another and create peace in your community, everybody will want to come where you are just to drink the spirit and beauty of your own lovely, peaceful, righteous communities. And so I leave you with these words. If we stay together, we will be able to say, in the words of that old Negro spiritual, free at last. Free at last. By coming together and staying together, we'll be able to be free at last. Thank you for listening, and may Allah bless you as I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum. You didn't say nothing, man. Say something to the people, man.
Brothers and sisters, We'd like to make sure that we stay and pray, close out in prayer. Minister Farrakhan would like to lead us in prayer. Would you please hold your places during prayer?
Brothers and sisters, let's have prayer. Oh, to all the men that are in the audience, next year we're going to have a 1 million man march on Washington, D.C.
That's right.
I'm asking all our sisters if you would stay home on that day, not because you are not wanted, but sisters, you have been our leaders. You've been our teachers. You have been in the forefront of all our struggles. And without you, we wouldn't be really where we are today. But you have always been hoping and praying for the day that the black man will take his rightful place. And so we're asking for all the men, let's go to Washington. The date will be announced. We ain't paying nobody's way. If you can buy a pair of Nikes, you just put a few dollars away, and next year you have enough money to come to Washington for one day. We got to do it on a work day, because the only way it will be felt is if we can talk to Congress while they're in session and stop work to let white folk, everybody know that we as men, speaking on behalf of our families and those who have gone on before us, we want justice for ourselves and our people. We demand reparations. We demand justice. And if you're not going to let us go, then you got to create jobs. We're going to do our part, but the government has to do her part. And while we are in Washington, everybody that does not go, we want everybody to take that day and we declare it a national holiday. We ain't waiting for Congress. We're not waiting for nobody to give us a holiday. We'll declare our own holiday. All the children stay home from school.
Right.
And all the mothers turn off the TV unless you got it on the march. And then you're going to teach your children the value of unity. That day you won't go to the supermarket. You won't go to the liquor store. You won't go and spend a dime nowhere. We want America to feel the weight of our unity. We want to shut America down for one day. Shut it down. Shut it down. Shut her down. Make her to know that without guns, just our unity, we're going to get justice in this country. How many men would like to be with us on that very sober march on Washington? Get ready now. How many sisters will encourage us on that march? Let me see your hands. Thank you, sisters. Well, you watch for the date. And we're going to have all our preachers and teachers, everybody. We're just going to hook up. Now, you know white folks going to be telling you. And if your preacher punks out, that's one church you don't go back to. Close him down. Oh, yeah, Reverend. We need to close some of these reverends down. If they're going to be handkerchief head niggas, let them run their church by themselves.
That's right, Governor. Yes, sir.
Ooh, what a day, what a day, what a day. With our heads slightly bowed and our eyes closed, follow me silently in our closing prayer. قل أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم الصراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Merciful, Master of the Day of Judgment. Thee alone do we worship, thine aid we seek. Guide us on the right path, the path of those upon whom you have bestowed favors, not the path of those upon whom your wrath is brought down, nor of those who go astray after they have heard your teaching. O Allah, we thank you for this night in Columbus. We thank you for each and every one who came to this meeting. We pray that what we have said will touch the hearts of the listeners, that we may respond to that which we can see and believe is truth and bring about a change in our lives. Help us to come into unity and help us to keep our leaders in unity and to free them, our politicians, our spiritual leaders, and our organizations. Make them ours by our own support of them, that they may in truth be liberated, that they may help us to be a truly liberated people. We ask all of this in your holy and righteous name. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is your messenger. Ameen. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Brothers and sisters, as you leave, I wanted to make a correction. I said it would be $1.6 billion a year. It will be $3.6 billion in only 1 year. And in 3 years, you would have over $10 billion. And if you could see what that kind of money could do for you, you would hurry to stay in unity. Thank you for correcting me. Thank you, brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Let's give a Columbus round of applause for the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, brothers and sisters. Let them hear that Ohio is the heart of it all. The Honorable Louis Farrakhan, welcome him to Columbus. Thank you for coming, Brother Minister. Let the applause be heard. The champion of the liberation struggle of the black man and woman in America.